Now welcome back. Let's go around, of course, actually last time, put the trunk pan with the frame rails, got that all assembled, ready to go. But now I need to get this old crap, or at least what's left of it, out of the way. Someone already moved the main part of the trunk floor, but the remaining of the frame rails is there, the piece behind the back seat, some remnants, whatnot. But since I'm going to be replacing the quarter panels and the inner and outer tail panel, I don't need to be nice or be very gentle. So I'm going to do this the easy way. I'm going to cut this out with the old Sawzall and try to drop this thing on the floor in a matter of minutes. But show you what the plan is, where to cut it, and let's get started. For those who know, we've been working on this thing for a while. I started popping the spot welds across the back seat here. Just obviously pounds and pounds of dirt and rust falling out of this thing everywhere. I just need to separate the wheel wells, what's left of them. You can see daylight for the most part through. There's not much left holding it in. Across the back of the car, just going to cut it. I took the Sawzall, cut right through there like butter, but all I really left to do now is I'm going to cut these quarter panels just below that body line, and we're going to drop the trunk drop-offs off with it too, because they're junk. So again, we're replacing the quarter panels, so don't need to be delicate, but basically I'm going to zip right through here with the Sawzall, cut that fender well, then cut straight back through here on the quarter panel, then come back in through here where I left off with the cutoff wheel. Do both sides like that, and I think for what's left of it, it's all rusted, should fall right out of there. So I'm going to give that a go with the Sawzall and see what happens. Fell out for the most part. I'm hoping just a little kick and it'll come out. Got a little piece hung up in the front.
Just finger down?
Yeah, on the block? Yeah.
Okay.
Now, all this is laid out on the floor. I still need to separate my pump mounts off of that floor, the drive shaft or differential bumps off from the floor pan. The other thing is these shock mounts. If you buy an OER floor pan, it comes with these. AMD, they skip them. Of course, I'll sell it to them for a separate fee, but I'm going to see about getting these off. If not, I'll just get some new ones, not the end of the world. Same as the other side there. And I have to see, what else do I need to steal off of here yet? I think that's it. So I got those two mounts, the bump stop, and try to salvage the shock pieces. But other than that, the rest of this can go to the scrap pile. Now, I guess while I poke around here, look at this. All this room for improvement now for new parts. Now, the reason we leave the fender wells in place is they're still 60, 70% intact. I can use that to help align our floor pan to the height. Same as this seat back for the convertible seat. It's about 70%, 80% still remaining there. But I can at least put the floor pan up to that and get me really close, and I'll start checking my measurements. Same as this here, I can recheck my measurement to the floor. I got that set up. Got my center line. I can make sure we haven't moved too far from that. Now, when I cut the tail panel, I left the holes for the bumper, so I can actually put some bolts through that, and that helps support everything. So you'll see the tab on each side. That side's a little worse for wear for rust, but I assure you that it's there. So at this point, it'll make it really easy to flip that trunk floor up into place. In preparation to put our floor pan back in the back of the old Bird, there's a few things underneath here that I wanted to show you first. Now, I went ahead and relief cut this. Remember, we talked about we needed a 1/4 inch on each side. And once it's all said and done, I weld it up, clean that up. Now, there's nothing left of the way of the old floor pan, so the new trunk floor is going to come right up underneath this and rest on this flange here. Now, our seat back is cut away, pot welds popped out of the way, so this is going to be clear. Now, it comes up and it'll reside here on my trunk floor when I get it up into place. Like I said, another point of reference. The outer fender well, inner fender wells here, I've peeled off most of the metal. Again, we can kind of gauge where the floor was at before. Should be really close again once they're back installed. So the same thing all around here. There's not much left, it's all rusted away. Probably the biggest thing that I actually forgot to mention, and again, I almost forgot to do altogether, the rocker panel drain hole. The main floor pan comes down and covers that thing up. So you need to cut it out here and then put it back into place. So that was something that I did. So now that stuff's all taken care of, now we can slide the floor pan into place. That's how you do that. Now, just a quick little get it up into place. I need to come forward. Sitting back too far. I need to get tucked into here, but you can see we're just starting to catch that fender, the floor pan underneath that one. But you can see now why we had to add that extra width. But my center line, spot on. That's actually really, really close. Liking how that's looking. Same thing there on that side there. It needs to come forward some more yet, but looking pretty good. Now we come in here to the fender well. Height-wise, we're about the right height. See how this all lines up here with our, this is the new floor pan back here, and then the old, lining up pretty close. Even this is fitting pretty good here too. So I'll take a peek underneath, see what we got. Here, the frame rail, of course you can't see in here. I need to bring it all forward. You can see I have a gap between the frame rail and the main floor pan, but that's about what we're seeing there anyway. So it's looking pretty good. So I'll probably have to move my floor jack for my center brace to the front one there and put some jack stands there in the back. But that's just putting it right in place. You saw 30 seconds of lifting. It's in place though. And again, a little minor shifting and we'll do some checking, but looking pretty good. I've repositioned the jack closer to the front because I need to lift the front end up. I went ahead and I guess you say engaged my ratchet straps. Fortunately, my jig has a hole here. Tie that up there to the front drain hole, one on each side, so I can actually just pull things forward into place. Now I've got this side here a whole lot closer. It's just about touching, but the driver's side over there still needs a little work. You've got a gap between the frame and the bottom of the car there, about a quarter inch. So I'm gonna go on the other side there, move that ratchet strap a couple clicks, and it should get us pulled all the way forward. Then our height is looking even better now. It's actually lining up almost perfect with that there. So again, this is why I don't cut everything out. I still have some points of reference. So shifting this forward, it almost lines up. Look at that with the fender well. This is looking really nice. So again, this method takes a little more time because we got to separate junk metal from good metal, but it gives you continuous points of reference to keep checking things. So it's looking pretty sharp. So I'm gonna give the other side a couple clicks and see if we can dial it in a little closer. Let's get down here on the driver's side, talk about some business here. See, we're a little low and may not need to come forward. I might just need to go up with it. So may have to bring that floor jack closer to this side, or my bottle jack. I got a bottle jack I can put underneath here. See if we can't persuade that up into place. But it looks like we might be far enough forward. It just needs to go up. So let me get something to push that up. All right, our bottle jack did the trick. I got that now pulled up. This has to be hammered into place. That gap I kind of anticipate. The gap here between this and this, the floorboard now, within probably 1/8 of an inch. Drill some pilot holes, pull it into place. But do not mount these permanent yet. You need to be able to adjust these frame rails just a little bit left and right so that our spring perch will actually mount in there. So that'll be one of the things we'll have to do some test fitting. But I think for now I'm going to drill some bigger holes, put some screws that to keep it held into place. But before we even do that, though, height is good. I like that. That's great. And we need to check our center line again because I've been kicking and punching and moving this thing all around. Now, if you look at that there, I'd say we're really close. I mean, we're maybe a 64th of an inch off. Not enough to probably be concerned with. I know I should have about a 1/4 inch overhang in there. You can't see it because that bracket. But our trunk pan is wider than our floor pan. It is hanging over. Come to the front. I've already done the center line trick on this floor. My front plumb bob is still there where it needs to be, so I'm going to call that good. That was a predetermined point before we even cut the car apart. Then we'll come around here to the back. Now, while I had the trunk floor out, I did drop the string on the lump of the dry shaft up there to my center line, and it was spot on. So that means my straight line follows the center of the car here. Now, when I get around here to the back, my tail panel, I've got it center line here. I got it marked, supported, plumb bob going to the floor, right on our pink string, right where it needs to be. Got a little bit of a breeze there, but you get the gist of it. But if you look right here, yeah, we're not centered. Another clue that it's not centered is not just my plumb bob, but even my bumper holes. Remember how I left these little ears? Look at that. That's telling me the same story. So my rear of the trunk pan needs to go that way. Couple ways to do that. We could try to tighten that ratchet strap up here on the passenger side and see if that frame rail shift forward some more. Or sometimes just smack it or find a way to kind of pull that trunk floor over this way. It needs to come over just a little bit because I can tell my rusty, crusty body shell is still on my center line, but my new trunk floor is to the driver's side. It's a little too far. So I'm going to try to put a couple clicks on that ratchet strap and see if we can pull that up. Here's what I ended up doing. Got them lined up, but had to get a little more persuasion. I did pull the ratchet strap, tried to pull that further forward. It just wasn't going to get what I needed. So I took the ratchet strap from this corner of the trunk pan, looped it around, snagged basically the trunk hinge support there to the fender well, pulled it over. Now if I step back here, our center line is still good at the top. Going down to the floor, I'll try to keep the camera here nice and straight. And you'll see now all three, my two strings on the floor, you see it down here. And this string, if I line all that up on a nice straight line, it is spot on where it needs to be. And the other thing is right here. Look at this now. Now those holes are lining up almost spot on. So that's another reassurance I've got the right height and the elevation side to side. So that being said, now I can go ahead and put a few screws in it. The only ones I'm going to do for now, though, are here, right along the seam between the trunk pan and the main floor pan. Just put maybe 4 or 5 on each side. That's going to keep my floor pan from shifting or going forward and backwards. Again, I'm leaving the front of the frame rails loose because what I want to do is climb underneath the car and test fit these up into place. They go underneath there and make sure my holes are actually lining up and going. If I need to move the frame rail over side to side, well, now's the time to do it. But if I do need to move the frame rail, it shouldn't be very much, but try to keep it even on both sides. So that's what I'm going to work on doing here. Drop a few screws into that area there and then see if those are going to fit. Well, now we're up under the car. This is what I'm talking about. I got the frame rail jig out of the way because unfortunately it can't stay in place while I do this part. But we got to get the 3 holes lined up. This is the critical one for all the suspension alignment. But it's also got this little ear here that has to slide up into that slot there. So as long as everything goes in finger tight, then at that point, I should be okay to go ahead and then install the frame rails permanently. So far, so good. I got that in that hook in the front. So many times I've heard people say, I put my floor pan in my car, I got it all lined up, and now I can't get these spring mounts to go in. That doesn't mean you can't slot them and make them work, but I like the idea of this hole being matched up to that hole. There really isn't any adjustment. This should really get you really close, but if you do need to make an adjustment, this bolt here, the hole, could be elongated and you could move that around if you needed, but ideally I'd rather not. But so far, I think we're going to be okay. These are all going to go in. They all went in hand tight. Sometimes you got to move the frame rail side to side to get these bolts to go in, but as you can tell, I'm not going to have an issue whatsoever. So that being said, I need to proceed now from the top side and literally attach this frame rail
to the torque box and the floor pan. I need to take this back out of the way though when I go past this point, because I'll put screws right through this, so I can go down this side of the frame rail. Yeah, that side there. I can go ahead and put all the screws all the way down this whole side here and pull this thing up into place. Then if everything still looks good, burn in permanent. But so far, it's working out like it should.
I guess to be fair, I forgot to mention, I went ahead and put the jack stands there in the back of the car just the same to help support the frame because, well, I've got these here and here. So now since they're putting things back together, I got a lot of weight hanging towards the aft end of the car. So I wanted to keep that supported so I didn't damage what I've already got going. Now, what I won't do right now, I'm not going to get too carried away fastening it from here to here because we know in the past, sometimes you got to manipulate the height of these frame rails a ½ inch one way or the other to correct the gap here at the door. So far, they look pretty good. It hasn't really gotten much worse, but new quarter panels will tell the whole story. We might need a little manipulation. Again, that's why I'm only going to go ahead and I'll put, you see my screws here, boop, doot, 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 and I put one on each side on the frame rail, but now I can go ahead and stitch all those all the way in. I may not weld that in yet. I may go ahead and start test fitting the fender wells, the quarter panels, tail panel, etc. That way I know everything is good before I burn in permanently. So I guess at this point, oh yeah, I went in and put some screws in here too because those holes lined up so good. I didn't want that stuff moving around. Again, do one panel at a time, do a little bit, gives you some points of reference, looking a whole lot better. And now I have a trunk floor. This car hasn't had a trunk floor in probably at least 20 years. So looking a whole lot more gooder. All right, so that being said, I'm just gonna screw that trunk pan into place. Nothing on the fender wells, only get the frame rails all done through the center section there and call it quits. So again, done with the frame rail jig for the 11 billionth time, it feels like here. Getting really quick at this, it seems. So I spent a couple hours after work, come out here and tinker. Could not resist, 75 degrees, blue skies. Fantastic day. So I want to have some fun. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. So probably won't get back out here tomorrow. I'm gonna put that back into storage. Hopefully I'll get to use it again in a couple more cars. If not, it has definitely served its purpose. A huge time saver. It can be done without one of those, but I don't know, man. I've been preaching since day one, don't buy a whole body jig, but I'm telling you, the rear frame rail jig might be worth it. So anyway, rambled on enough. Hope these tips or tricks or watching me put this old rusty, crusty relic back together is entertaining or fun. And if you do appreciate it, don't forget to hit the like, tell your friends, please subscribe, and definitely leave some comments. It's helping this thing grow on YouTube's. I actually made a couple of dollars. It's going to offset the expense of building these things. For some reason, these aren't getting any cheaper to build, but everything else is going up. So anyway, rambled on enough. I'll get back out here. I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do next. May start go ahead and ripping out those fender wells and getting those worked into place. But whatever it is, I'm going to keep working on this rusty, crusty bird and hope to see you all then.